Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Welcome to the Libraries and Cultural Affairs Committee meeting. It's now 7:05 p.m., Monday, April 1st. And this meeting is officially called to order. My name is Joan Claude, Chair of the committee. We'll start off with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear Lord, for bringing us here safely. And for those who are online, dear Lord, that you have given them a good day. We invite your presence into this our meeting. Your word says where 2 or 3 are gathered together, you're in the midst. So we ask that you be in our midst, dear Lord, and that whatever we do, that in this meeting will be done decently and in order. We will not speak over each other, and we will respect each other's space and what they have to say. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for everything. And we ask that someone will learn something from what is being done or what is being said today. And when we leave here, we will leave with more information than we came here with. We bless your name, and we ask that when this is over, dear Lord, that you bring us home safely. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So this is April 1st, All Fools Day. And during every month, especially the month of April, there are several celebrations and awarenesses during this month. Tonight, we will highlight just a few. Tonight, we will talk about organ and tissue donation. And our presenter is none other than Ms. Stacy Connell, who will introduce herself and speak to us about organ donation, which is really so important. But not many people choose to do that or even know much about it, about the process. So Ms. Stacy will highlight us as to what is being done, how it's being done, and encourage others to join in this endeavor. Ms. Connie, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Stacy Connell. I'm the Senior Manager of Volunteer Services at Live on New York. And it's a pleasure being here this evening with everyone. Okay, can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So Live on New York, we're going to be talking tonight about the facts of organ, eye, and tissue donation. And before I officially get started, I would like to introduce our volunteer coordinator. Her name is Katrina Erskine, and Katrina is a donor hero mom. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a quick moment just to have that way you can see her while she's sharing her amazing stories. Katrina, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor. As Stacy mentioned, my name is Katrina Erskine. I am Live on New York's volunteer coordinator, but I am also a donor mom. And my journey started about 24 years ago now. I was 18 years old, found out that I was pregnant, and I had my baby Jalil Williams on August 4th of 2000. And of course, as you can imagine, I had like the next 25 years of his life planned. I knew who his first play date was going to be, where he was going to college. I had it all planned out for him, but not knowing I was only going to get 5 weeks with him. On September 11th of 2000, my baby stopped breathing. We don't know why. We don't know what happened. We rushed him to the hospital. And there, the doctors came out and said, Mom, we gave Jaleel 5 shots to the heart, and we was able to get his heart to start beating again, but he was not breathing on his own. So he had to be put on a ventilator. As you can imagine, that was the longest week of my life. Countless tests to see if there was any brain activity, to see if he was able to breathe on his own. And finally, it came to the end of the week where they came to me and said, Mom, we're going to do one more test the next day to see if there was any new activity going on in his brain, if he was able to breathe on his own. And at that moment, as you can imagine, such a chaotic moment in mine and my family's life, advocate from Live On New York came in and talked to us about organ donation. Of course, we knew nothing about organ donation, never spoke about it in our family, always checked it on my license because it just sounded like the right thing to do. But came in with such peace in a moment where we didn't know what was happening, such confusion. And of course, my dad was with me and he automatically said no. And me being a daddy's girl, I would normally follow everything he says and does, but at that moment, something just told me to say yes. They came and did the final test for him. And of course, what we all knew, there was no brain activity, so it was time for us to say goodbye. And as we were saying goodbye to him, we was cutting up his hair and we was kissing his feet with red lipstick. A team of doctors came rushing into the room and just gently pushed it to the side. And they started examining Jaleel and they were all excited and happy. And one of the doctors kind of looked up and read the room and was like, Mom, I'm so sorry, but there is a 2-month-old baby boy in Kings County Hospital. And if he doesn't get a heart, he's not going to make it. At that time, it was time for us to say our final goodbyes. A couple of months after that, I received a letter in the mail from Live On New York, and I found out that my baby saved 2 lives. He saved a 2-month-old baby boy with his heart, and he saved an 11-month-old baby girl with his liver. As you can imagine, I'm 18, time went on, life was lifing, and I had another baby. And on his 21st birthday, I just wanted to do something to honor him, to say his name, because as you can imagine, I only had 5 weeks with him. We had one picture. Back then, there was no camera phone. It was the camera that you had to roll up and take a picture. Thought you had all the time in the world to take pictures. We was able to get one picture. We stopped saying his name, and I decided to go back where it started for me, and that was Live On New York. So I reached out to them for the first time since it all happened. And I want to say probably if not that day or the next day, they found his liver recipient. And at that time, she was 22 years old, and I found out she was pregnant and having her own baby. So here it is, my baby gave the gift of life, and I found out that she was now given the gift of life. So that right there just brought so much joy and healing to me that I didn't even know I needed at the moment. So I decided to Live On New York made me realize that I had a story. I didn't think I had a story. You know, it happened all in 5 weeks. But I had a story to tell, and an impactful story. And I started volunteering with Live On New York to any platform they allowed me to share my story. I shared my story to try to encourage and bring awareness to for people to become organ donors. And it has been such a healing moment for me and my family. And now I've been blessed to join the team, and I joined my heroes because Live On New York are my heroes. They got me through a moment that I didn't even know that I needed help too. So now I'm joining the team to at least bring the conversation up in households. If you don't want to be an organ donor, just at least talk about it, because I feel that's where it starts. We didn't have any knowledge of it. My family never spoke about it, but I believe that the conversation starts at home. So that's my journey, and now I'm here to bring awareness and fight the fight.
That's quite a story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful story.
Yes, thank you so much, Katrina, for sharing. And next, we have the honor of also having a volunteer with us. Her name is Paula, Paula Brown, and Paula is a kidney recipient, and she's going to share her story. Thank you, Paula, for being here.
Yes, right in the nick of time. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hello.
I'm Paula Brown. I am a kidney recipient, a happy kidney recipient. So, um, sorry if I'm out of breath. Um, so my story began in 2012, where I was diagnosed with kidney failure due to high blood pressure, working hard, maybe not taking care of myself and stuff like that. Um, Upon finding out, I didn't know what to do, where to turn, what was the next step. I didn't have a clue about kidney transplant or anything. And when the doctor said you have to dialyze for the rest of your life, I'm like, dialyze for the rest of my life? And then when I see those big needles had to go in my hand, I'm like, no, I got to find a way out of this. Anyway, God is good. I've been on dialysis for 8 years, and in 2020, June the 1st, 2020, I got the call to receive my kidney. Being on dialysis for 8 years, it's hard. You have to have strong mind and support to go through it, because you can't do a lot of things. Everything that you used to do normally without even thinking about it, you have to stop. You can't eat certain foods because they might affect your health, like a watermelon, something like it's like a watermelon. It's too high in potassium. If you have too much of it, it's going to burst your heart and you're going to pass away. Um, there are things that you can't do. You can't go on vacation. You can't you can't spend a lot of time anywhere, because every other day you have to dialyze. Because remember, a normal person, your kidney is working for you 24 hours, 7 days a week. When you're on dialysis, the machine only helps you for me, it was 3 hours. It only helped you for 3 hours for just 3 days a week. So, you got to be careful of how much you drink, because if you drink too much, your lungs is going to be filled up. You can't breathe. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Your heart start beating, and that can cause you to have some form of, relapse. You might it's an uncomfortable feeling, especially if you don't dialyze and stick to your dialysis routine. You will have all those toxin that builds up in your body, because remember, I'm not peeing. I didn't pee for 8 years, so the only way to get rid of my liquid was to dialyze. So it was a very tedious process, but God is good. He gave me the strength to go through. I was working. I dialyze in the nights, and sometimes I don't end up going back home, because sometimes it's very rough on the dialysis machine. Sometimes you feel like you're going to die, and they have to send you to the emergency room, and you're stuck in the emergency room. Sometimes you end up in the hospital for 3 days. You can't get up, you can't leave until they see fit for you to come out of the hospital. So it's a it's 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 a serious process, that dialysis machine. So when a donor decide to really donate and donate an organ to help someone like me to have a second chance at life, it is an amazing feeling. It's a very grateful and thankful feeling. It's words can't even explain. Only the Lord God Almighty Himself can really show the shyness through me, how happy and elated I am to have this second chance. And I could just run from the train and run inside to just be here just now to just give you my little experience of having a kidney transplant. So yes, June the 1st is going to make it 4 years since I had my transplant. I am taking care of myself. I am making sure that I can show others the appreciation I have for this moment, that I can live a second life. I can travel. I can share my story. I'm always sharing my story. Always. Any little inch bit. I'm a kidney transplant recipient. Are you an organ donor? That's me. I am out there pushing it because I know what it has done for me. And when people look at me, they're like, "You did a transplant?" Yes, girl, I did one. I have my kidney right here. Her name is Anne, and they can't believe how my spirit is. But this is just all thankfulness and gratefulness to all the persons who donate and have that little part on their driver's license to say that they're organ donor. And for those who receive and can't have this platform to share, I'm doing it on their behalf. So I am very happy to be a recipient. Extremely happy.
Thank you so much. And
Thank,
good luck. Continue.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I
thank you.
can see the joy exuding out of you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paula.
You're
And,
most welcome, Cece.
and I'm going to briefly share my screen again just to give you some basic information about donation. So just so you're aware, the donation service area that we cover is all 5 boroughs, all of Long Island, and we go as high up as Dutchess County, and we cover one small area in Pennsylvania called Pike. We also work very closely with all of the local hospitals, about 100 hospitals and almost about 11 transplant centers to deliver the gift of life. We work very closely with the donor families, like Katrina had mentioned, and we also advocate on behalf of those waiting on the transplant waiting list. We work very closely with educating the community on the power of donations, such as what we're doing here tonight. And oftentimes people don't realize that one person can save up to 8 lives by being an organ donor, and can actually heal over 75 and more with tissue donation. And there are many ways that a person can actually register themselves to be an organ donor. Many people know through the DMV. You can also do so when you register to vote. Also at Donate Life online and IDNYC, and also through the New York State Health app. And also, if you have an Apple phone, you can register that way as well. And just to go over quickly some myths, many people feel that if you're an organ donor, the doctors won't do many things to save your life, and that's not true. Hospitals and staff, EMS worker, everyone, they are legally obligated to do everything possible to save a person's life. The doctors who treat patients are not affiliated with organ, eye, and tissue donation. It's the local organ procurement organization, and it's Live on New York. We are the ones who facilitate organ, eye, and tissue donation in our donation service area. And another myth is that it's against many religions, but actually major religions do celebrate organ donation as a way to save lives. And also organ donation is seen as an opportunity to extend one's life and is considered a blessing, as you can hear from Paula and also Katrina as a donor mom, and how knowing that the legacy of her loved one lives on in others. Another myth is that someone will not be able to have a normal funeral if they're an organ donor. And in actuality, if someone donates everything, all 8 organs and even all tissue, they can still have a full viewing. We maintain body integrity, and we treat the donor hero with the utmost respect. And also Live on New York works very closely with the family's time frame for burial. And also another myth is that I'm too old or I'm too sick to be an organ donor, and that's really not the case. The oldest person to be an organ donor in New York State was a 93-year-old who donated her liver. And anyone can sign up and register themselves to be an organ and tissue donor. And it's really based on the time when they pass. There will be someone to assess to see what safely that person can transplant into someone else. And also, I know this was a brief presentation, but I really wanted to touch on the major myths and misconceptions that tend to come up. But if you would like more information, please feel free to go to our website, liveonnewyork.org. And also online this evening is my coworker, Ileana Almanzar. She's our Bronx Community and Government Affairs Liaison. And this is her email. She is able to provide this training and presentation in English and in Spanish if anyone would like some more information as well. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thank you so much. That's some invaluable information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have learned something here. We know how important it is, but to hear it from others who have received and to see how happy Miss Paula looks, yes, it's something worthwhile signing up for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
May I ask a question? I missed something. Up to what age can you be a donor?
So
93.
a person can register themselves starting at the age of 16 to register themselves and beyond. There is really no age limit as someone being a donor. As Katrina mentioned, her baby boy, Jaleel, was a donor hero at the age of 5 weeks. So at that point, that is when the parent would make the decision to to have their loved one be a donor. So really, it's at any age that someone can be a donor. Are there any more questions? Did that answer your question?
Yes, yes. I was just wondering,
Yeah.
if you were 100 and you could still donate, right?
Say that one more time.
I'm not 100, but if you're 100, you can still donate, right?
Yes, someone can. What they will do is assess to see what organs are viable for transplantation. And if, let's say, if a person is 100 years old and they have an organ that is viable that can safely give the gift of life, they can be able to donate. And Dr. Price, did you have your hand raised?
Hi, yes. First of all, thank you to all the speakers today. Greatly appreciate the information. I do have a question. On one of your presentations, your slides, you said that Live on New York chooses the who gets the donate the organ. My question was, what process do you have in place to identify the recipient of that organ donation?
Okay, so yes, so Live on New York, we don't actually designate who gets the organ. What it is UNOS, United Network of Organ Sharing. They are an organization that maintains the waiting list. So they will actually have a list as far as who is in need of a life-saving gift. Live on New York works very closely with the donor and the donor family to assess what organs can be transplanted. When it's deemed that an organ can safely be transplanted, our transplant coordinators then work with UNOS to see who is a direct match with that person. And based on where they they're at on the list, and the match based on blood type, body mass, and location, that is when they would see who was the best viable match for that donor, and then they would coordinate with them to do the recovery process to transplant that life-saving organ to the recipient.
Thank you. Could you give me the name of that organization that has the list of that maintains the wait list?
Yes, it's called UNOS. UNOS, UNOS, and it stands for United Network for Organ Sharing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there any more questions?
Who decides on what organ would be donated?
So it's based on when someone actually registers themselves to be an organ and tissue donor, you can designate on the registration form what you would like to have transplanted. Or sometimes, let's say if a person is not registered, the family can designate what specifically they would like their loved one to donate, whether it's all organs and tissue, or if they specifically want to designate one particular thing or the other. after that, then there's many tests that have to be done to see what is viable, what can safely be transplanted into a recipient. So there's many tests, blood work, different things that have to be done to verify what can safely be transplanted into someone else. So a person can say, yes, I want to donate everything, but it may be that they are not able to donate, just as an example, like let's say their heart, if they are going into heart, if that person is going into heart failure or something was wrong with that organ, then that organ would not be transplanted. So again, someone may say, yes, they want to donate everything, but they have to examine the donor and different tests have to be done to see what can safely be transplanted. Mhm.
Thank you so much. Yes, that answers the question.
You're welcome. And I see someone else's hand raised, but I don't see a name. So I'm sorry, I can't call on you. I know you have glasses on.
No, no, no.
Hi, yes. I'm sorry. Oh, there's my name. Okay. Very good. I am so sorry. I had a very difficult time getting on. I was trying to get on desperately. I see Dr. Price is smiling because I am a heart transplant recipient.
Oh, wow.
Everyone says that. Everybody goes, oh, wow.
It's such a pleasure to meet you and to be here, and we're talking about the subject. So yes, please share.
Yes, yes. So I am so, so pleased that you came on and you're discussing this because oh, I see somebody down there smiling at me from Live On, New York. I'm loving it. Yeah, yeah. I know you always see on the other side. So I have had the opportunity to meet a few people. My transplant was done at New York Presbyterian, and ironically, I got the heart in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, so it was quite a blessing, somewhat to me of a miracle.
Right.
I mean, I had done all the testing. I'm sure you went over that, but I had done all the testing. I had spoken. My doctor had given me all the information. I did all the tests, and at some point, somewhere in there, I went in. I was having a difficult time breathing, and I went in. As a matter of fact, they called me up and they were like, your ejection fraction is like 12%. I know everybody doesn't know what that is, but yeah, they were like, it should be between like 50, 60, right? 50, 60 or 70, sometimes even percent. And mine was like 12. So they were like, we need you to go to the hospital right now. And I was like, I used to work at that hospital and it was during COVID. So I was like, no, I'm not going to sit in the emergency room right now. And I said, I'll come in the morning. So I got there in the morning and they were going to try balloon pump therapy and a couple of other things. And neither of those sufficed. So they wound up doing, I went on ECMO. And I went on ECMO in the afternoon, and then by about 1:30ish in the morning on the 4th of July, they called my room and told me they had a heart for me. And I mean, it was a whole thing, my family and everybody crying, and yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was at New York Presbyterian Hospital.
And how long have you had your heart transplant?
I'm coming up on my I call it my second birthday. It was the 4th of July. So the 4th of July will be 3 years.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, so when I saw that Joan was doing this, I told her, I said, oh no, I gotta get on, I gotta get on. And I was over here calling everybody, give me the link, I can't get on the link. But yeah, this is awesome. I think it's
You don't have the link. What else is new?
that's our first chair and my deacon, so y'all understand, and my brother, But I don't know if they have any other questions. I'd be happy to answer. I'm sure, I don't know how many people you get to talk to.
I also just wanted to briefly share as well, like we have our volunteer program. So also it's open to any and everyone Anyone who wants to volunteer, we have recipients and we have donor families who volunteer with us to share their story, as Paula and Katrina did tonight. But we also have people who we call champions, who have no connection to donation, but they also want to volunteer with us and to help share our mission and educate the public on organ and tissue donation. So Joan has my information. Or I can also share it in the chat if anyone wants to reach out to me to learn how to volunteer. That's also another opportunity that people can do to help spread awareness.
I think at some point, someone had spoken to me and asked me about speaking to people or doing something, but we kind of lost communication with each other.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll place my information in the chat if anyone would like to contact.
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
So how can you apply to be a donor apart from it being on your driver's license when you apply? How else can you apply?
You
to
can
be
also you can also apply via your app, your Apple phone. So you can go on your Apple phone and apply that way. You can also apply online at registerme, I believe it's registerme.org. And I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize. You can also do so when you register to vote as well. On the voter registration application, there is an opportunity to actually register yourself on the application as well. And the link to register is registerme.org or donatelife.ny.gov. So those are the two ways online that you can register as well. And I'll put that in the chat as well.
If I can, I have one more question.
Sure.
Ms. Dickerson's looking dead at me. Ms. Dickerson is the one who told me about this this presentation, and she was like, "You got to go," because I've been working on a piece that I'm going to write up called Medical Racism. And I'm pretty sure you've heard of this, but I did a timeline from 1840 all the way up to 2024 in all the ways that Black and brown people, disabled people were subjected to medical racism, whether we knew it or not. So I wonder, organ donation was one of them. And I was wondering if maybe you could share with me offline, because I've been trying to get this data and I'm struggling with the list of recipients, how they are decided on. Because I have my theories based off of race correction, but I can't apply the theory because I can't find the data. So if there's any data that you can share with me that would highlight the racial demographics of the people who are receiving the donations. I'm also looking at, and this is something that Paula said earlier, that she was on the wait list for 8 years. And I'm trying to figure out, right, what's the average wait time for different racial groups? I wonder if you have that information or can lead me to where that information is, I would greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. We can definitely support you with some of that information offline. I can tell you, in New York, unfortunately, people do tend to wait longer. As you know, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions, and many people make decisions based on that. And not understanding the full process of organ and tissue donation. In New York, generally, there was some data that we've done and some studies that we've done where it showed that the amount of people who donated are almost equates to the amount of people who have received as far as different demographics in New York. Now, that's not necessarily everywhere. But definitely we can work with our team to get you some additional data if that's something that you need, so I can follow up with you on that. Mm-hmm. And I see Paula has her hand up.
Paula has. Go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, I just want to add my little 2 cents, because sometimes being on the waiting list doesn't necessarily base of the length of time. The individual has to also show that they can take care of themselves to accept this kidney, because they don't want to waste a kidney on someone who is skipping like the treatments, not keeping up with the medication, and keeping in a good healthy form, because they want to make sure that when they do give you this, you don't, it's not wasted, and in no time the organs start rejecting the body, and it's a waste when somebody who truly needs it um is missing on that opportunity. But there's a lot of little factors and little stuff that, even with medical health, because some people are diabetic, those person can get a kidney transplant. But as I said, it depends on how you take care, and they have to see that you are taking your medications, keeping up to the standard that they want, and stuff like that. So those are the little intricacies in between that can have you waiting a little longer or push you a little forward. But there's that part that you, the individual, who has to play that part in order to shine bright to get that organ. It's important. That's a little important part.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Paula. Can I ask you a
Yeah.
follow-up question with that? Did the EGFR, did your EGFR play a role in in helping or hurting or play a factor in you getting the transplant?
Well, my kidney transplant started from excuse me, started from like in Jamaica, and I came here, and there's a whole process, so I had to do to my whole new process, and then for me to be qualified to get on the list. So mine was a little challenging getting there. So it wasn't just on the blues that been waiting 8 years here. You understand me? It's my own is
Yeah.
a process. Yeah. So you have all kind of situations.
Right, but did your EGFR rate contribute to that? Your
Oh no.
GFR rate for the kidney?
No, well, I guess in some format, yes, but I was okay. I was okay.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, great. And like
The
I,
only thing I'm sorry.
no, go
The
ahead.
only thing I was gonna say quickly was that I know it's hard for people to understand and realize how intense, I know Paula knows, because I can tell from what she just said, but how intense it is to prepare, to even get considered, right? I mean, it's like 30, Paula's smiling at me, it's like 30 doctor's appointments. I mean, they check you from your toenails almost, I say, yeah, to your hair follicles. She's holding her hair up. I mean, I felt actually my healthiest when I finished, because I knew everything. I knew everything about me. They had checked everything. And then they sit down in a group and discuss it, right? And sit down and discuss everything about you. And ironically for me, it was crazy because it was during COVID. So they were trying to tell me, well, you can do these meetings and these appointments and things virtually, right? And I said, no. I said, if I'm going to talk about myself and I want people to see who I am, I said, I do that quite well in person. I said, so I would prefer to go in person and meet these doctors and psychologists and all the doctors and just, let them know me and get to meet me. And so I did mine. Normally it was like 30 appointments, maybe, Paula, probably something like that, close. It seemed like in days. I mean, I was doing 8 one day, 9 one day, 10 one day, 8 one, and I mean, getting them done. And that's one thing they said, a lot of people don't get these things done in a timely fashion, right? Paul is shaking her head. Some people don't get it done. I did it like quick, because when my doctor said to me, she said, oh, I don't want you to go through all of this. I think you should get a new heart. And I looked at her and I bust out laughing. I said, you sound like we're going to Target or we're going to Amazon or something like that. You make it sound real easy. right? And she was like, no, you know, and she gave me, sent the paper, gave me everything and set up the appointments. And I mean, you know, I did it. You have to do it. It's hard. And there's a lot of, I mean, it's a lot of contributing factors to it. You know, you're talking to your family. It's a lot. You have to see psychiatrists, I mean, psychologists, everything, podiatrists. I mean, you think of, you know, you go through everything. They want to check everything. And then they want to find out if you're, you know, you're stable, your mental stability, you know, where you're at, you know, can you do this? Is this something that you can do? You know, are you going to go through this? Are you going to do everything you need to do to keep it up? And I try to tell people, I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, you don't go out, you don't go anywhere. And I said, because I have no immune system. Because if I had an immune system, it would fight the organ. I said, so I stay home. I stay in the house because I'm obedient. I said, and I'm obedient to me. I say I'm obedient to God. I said, because I'm not asking that man upstairs to do anything else because he did this wonderful thing for me already. Right? So it's a lot entailed. They say a lot of people have received organs and done, like Paula said, you know, they start doing one thing, you know, they ask you, are you drinking? Are you on drugs? Have you ever been on drugs? Have you ever been, I mean, it's a lot. You know, it's a lot, but it's a beautiful thing because I'm here.
Me too.
Yes.
Right. And you know, like I said, this was a very brief presentation, but we can definitely, and Ileana can provide additional information because there is the process for recipients, and then there's learning more about the process about the donor families as well, and the support that's ongoing support that's given to donor families. So definitely there's a lot more there to share about the process. But thank you. This was amazing to be able to do this, and you guys everyone asked amazing questions. Oh.
Thank you.
Totally.
Love you more.
And she even says she's so proud of you, Tony.
I know. I'm reading her in there. I know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So Stacy, do you have more? Because I haven't seen my other presenter. She was on before, but she left. So,
No, that was all that we had for this evening presenting. And like I said, Ileana can also support you with additional presentations. And we also have many volunteers who can also share their stories as well.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all, and good luck on your new family, new member of your family.
Yes, okay, yes, you're right.
Your liver, your heart.
Yes.
Yeah, another person who is going to speak on autism awareness. Miss Mendez, she was on before. I think it was a couple that we saw there on the vacation, was it? I think so. First, I think that was her.
Yeah, we're missing a presenter. She was on, but
Is it Diana Mendez?
Yes.
She's on. I think you have to unmute yourself, Diana. You're on mute.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
oh, okay.
Miss Mendez, welcome.
You're still on mute, Diana Mendez. You
You're
have to
on
unmute yourself or we won't be able to hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you want to log off and back in? The mute button is all the way at the bottom. Are you using your computer? Looks
We
like
can
the
hear you.
microphone on the left.
We can hear you now.
No, you hear Beatrice. Hi, Ms. Claude.
Okay, yeah. That's interesting.
Miss Diana Mendez has her, it says muted. She's muted.
Muted. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, she's gonna log off and log
I'll
back
log
in,
off and
Miss
come back.
Claude.
Yeah.
No, because she was on before. But ladies, let me tell you, this was so exciting to me, just listening to this topic. You never know. Well, I know Tolene, and I knew some of what she went through. But hearing the process is really, really exciting, and it's things that you can barely conceive, and to know that it's happening, it's like a miracle. I don't know how else to explain it, but I mean, I've learned a lot.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
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 Good.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I just want to say this, that this was awesome just to hear the story, the successful stories, and I'm sorry about the woman that lost her son so young, and but at the same time the gift that he gave to others. So I just want to commend everyone that's taken this path, and it's not an easy one, but it was interesting. I learned a lot, so thank you. Thank you.
Indeed, it was novel.
Right?
Thank you.
I want to try to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay.
So Ms. Mendez and her son Mark are here to talk about autism awareness, since this is Autism Awareness Month.
Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes,
Yes.
on World of Autism, yes, we can see that.
Okay, wonderful. My name is Diana Mendez, and I'm here with my son, Mark Anthony Mendez, and I am sharing my story about the unknown world of autism, and I named it this PowerPoint, that name, because that's exactly how it felt in 1996 when I was first, notified that my son had autism, and it was a very scary place, and it wasn't really talked about autism back in 96. I'm so happy now that everyone is actually, more aware of what's going on. That way our children are getting the help that they need. So I'm gonna just keep doing my thing here. 1 second. Okay, I want to put a disclaimer, and just to let everyone know that the information provided today, I'm volunteering to put this information, and all the information that's presented is provided by the many agencies who helped my son throughout the years, including the workshops that I have attended, and there were many, including having my son attend those workshops with me and my family so that we can actually educate ourselves about autism. Again, my name is Diana Mendez. I'm a parent advocate, and I'm also a credentialed family peer advocate for around 25 years. And the information provided today is about my son's story and his testimony, and his name is Mark Anthony Mendez. And the goal is to increase autism awareness and to provide resources for parents and caregivers, including siblings. My daughter did play a big role. The early signs of autism. Now, I could put like another 6 different bullets in here, so I'm trying to make this brief. But one of the early signs that I saw were usually the indicators of autism appear by the age of 2 to 3 years old. I myself saw a change in my son when he was like 6 months old, and the only reason why I picked up on it was because he had a sister that was 2 years old, and I already saw the things that she was doing at a year old, and I said, something's not right. And autism affects the child's ability to interact with others. You will find with some that they have poor eye contact and fleeting eye contact. There are delayed or no speech. In my case, my son didn't have functional language till almost 5 years old. They have unusual interests and rituals and hand flapping and body rocking. There are developmental delays that can appear as early as 18 months. And research shows that early intervention leads to positive outcomes later in life for people with autism. And I want to really stress that I've seen it over and over again that the parents are seeing that there's something not right with their kids, but they don't want to label them. And I respect it, but later on they're gonna grow. And to me personally, this is why I share my story because we need to really look out for Black, Brown, Indigenous, individuals that this is a whole different monster and get the help that you need while they're young, I say. And then they wind up being successful because they all have gifts and we just have to find out what those gifts are. And as I put here that my son was diagnosed at 18 months. Before the diagnosis, as I mentioned that having my daughter that was two years, older than him, he wasn't doing the things that she was doing. And I would actually put them in the same playpen and his pupils wouldn't meet mine. It was like his sister wasn't there and he was just in his own little world. And I was like, there's something wrong. And I kept going to the doctor and the doctor kept saying, he's a boy, they're slow, give him a chance. And so 18 months later, I got the diagnosis. And when I got the diagnosis from the neurologist, I was devastated, number one, because I didn't know what PDD was, what autism was. It wasn't, talked about. And so for like a whole month, I just went ahead and I was shuffling around. I was numb. I was like just totally devastated, but I didn't realize that a month later, I'm watching my whole family going down. And I said, you're the glue of the family. That's what I realized. And so I went to Barnes and Nobles and I really lucked out with all the books. I looked at the shelf, the bookshelf, and I said, what book do I get? And it just so happens that I picked up this book called Thinking in Pictures. And it's a story of Temple Grandin, who also had autism. And about 7 years ago, if you want to learn more about autism, they actually made a movie with this book that I had picked out called again. And Claire Danes, if you go on Netflix and just ask for Claire Danes movies, you'll see this movie, and it really was insightful. And we saw it as a family. And I asked my son, what do you think about it? And he said, that's the movie all teachers, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists need to see so that they can understand, what we're going through, the way we think, why we feel and smell. These they're so sensitive, and it put me on the map. And as regarding putting in the work, we followed the book to a T. I converted my living room into a preschool to help my son, and we learned how to communicate with Mark on his own terms. Navigating the school system personally was a nightmare because the school, they gave us the services that he needed. There was 6 kids with teachers, but unfortunately, my son, he couldn't talk, so he had a lot of behavioral challenges. And I start by saying that he started out with early intervention, and then he attended a specialized school with only 6 students. And right before starting elementary school, he entered an inclusion classroom. An inclusion classroom is where you have half the kids, or actually back then it was 8 kids with special needs, developmental disabilities, and then the rest of the kids were general ed kids. And because of Mark's behavioral challenges, and he couldn't communicate, I heard of something called ABA analysis, and it's applied behavioral analysis. And the instructors that were back in 1996, the Department of Ed wasn't having it because they were like $140, per hour. And they're like, no, I'm sorry, Mrs. Mendez. Your child's already getting the right classes and the right teachers. We cannot. And so that's where I had 2 things that were going on. The public school didn't have an inclusive classroom, and I was also fighting to get this type of service. So for 9 years, the first year, I got a lawyer to represent me. And then when I saw what she did, I took it upon myself to learn, what the Americans Disability Act was, what No Child Left Behind. And I still to this day, I didn't memorize it. What I did was I actually, and I learned this through includenyc.org. I had a 6-inch binder. And when I went to these meetings, I was dressed to the nines like a lawyer. And I just walked in there and just shuffled all the laws, the Americans Disability Act, No Child Left Behind, FAPE, which is free and appropriate education. And then as they spoke and they would try to say, well, we're not giving you these services. This is where I told them, well, you show me in these 6 different types of booklets here where it says that he can't get those services. He is interrupting his sister, he's interrupting the students, and you know, there's no way that he's losing out. So I was able to get ABA. I think it was like 5 parents in the whole borough of Queens that were able to get the secret ABA service, and they went to the house to help. But you know, my deal was I would take him to different meetings. I would go to City Hall and be part of the Council for Special Education. And I fought for 9 years. Every year, come June, I was petrified because I knew they were going to take those services away. But I was blessed to fight each year and get these special services at home. So they would actually, the teachers will come to the house. And as I said, this is one of the first things I tell the parents. You go to these meetings, you get yourself an 8x10 and you plop it right on the table with your 9 other teachers there, because it's so intimidating, the process. And you let them know that this is the child you're going to be speaking about. And then another thing that's important that I want to share is that there's a service called OPWDD that comes from the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, and it's a state program that if your child is diagnosed before the age of 21, you can get someone in your home to help you with your child. And there's respite services, which means you can relax. You want to just stay in the room and cry, don't stay with your child, you know, and help your child. You know, they even helped him to socialize with his sister. And so it's called The Front Door. And you could look that up. I have a lot of resources. I put my name in the chat, and my son as well. But this Medicaid waiver really opened the doors, you know, to get the services that I needed at home and in the community. And then I noticed our children were not invited to any school, any school birthday parties. So I says, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to start my own support group. So I actually started a support group. And I invited all the kids, females and males, you know, whoever wanted to come to the home, and we learned from each other. And some of the kids were older than my son, so it was perfect because I knew what was coming next. And we, you know, to this day, we keep in contact. The kids, you know, some of them are in college, some of them are working, but, you know, it's nice to see them all grown up. As my son got older, I knew that I had to actually tell him, you know, what was really going on, because when they're little, they could get away with everything, you know, because they're little. Oh, you know, people don't notice that something's going on, but I knew that it was going to catch up to me. And so I set myself up. And I had 2 tabs open on the computer, one that talked about the autism and what it was. And then the second tab that I had was all the people, the actors, actresses that had autism, like Van Gogh, Einstein, Daryl Hannah, and then the movies. And so I asked my son, you know, that night I prepped for it, and I asked him, I said, do you feel different? Do the kids treat you different? You know, and everything was a yes, yes, yes. I took him by the hand. And I told him, I says, look, this is what's going on. And I showed him all the different characteristics of autism. And then I showed him the next slide, not the next slide, but the next tab that talked about, you know, the prognosis that, you know, with the proper help, you know, you could be okay. And we, you know, just keep moving and keep learning. And so I actually, as he got older, I made sure that I took him to see people that were speaking, public speakers with autism, females and males, you know, and just to let them know, I says, look at them real good, look at the body language, because one day you're going to have to advocate for yourself. And as he was getting older, I says, you know, I need to make him independent as much as I can. And so I taught him how to cook, how to clean, how to do laundry. And I remember the question that I was asked, you know, if I wanted him to be travel trained when he was in middle school, and I said yes. And I took the time with my husband and my daughter to also travel train him. And Mark was always receptive, which, you know, to this day I say I'm blessed. And I just taught him, you know, adaptive living skills, which I can actually provide for Joan. I have a whole list that it was like a checklist, you know, things that he needed to do to become independent. And so I never gave up on my son, and he was motivated to learn as well. I want to now just bring it back to my son, Mark Anthony Mendez. And I am here. I am here to provide and to help and pay it forward. So I introduce to you my son, Mark Anthony Mendez.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am Mark Anthony Mendez. I am a member of the autism spectrum community, as well as adapted to autism. I am 28 years old, as I had my birthday on March 28th, as well as moved to my own apartment for the first time and, well, the second time in over 3 years. I am 28 years old, and I perceive autism as both a blessing as well as a test. Another disclaimer from my mother is that autism is not a complete monster. It is also not the end, as well as it may be a new beginning of creativity and a new collaboration between the neurodiversity of both neurotypicals and neurodiverse people, such as people with autism. I graduated from LaGuardia Community College with an associate's degree in 2020, majoring in human services and mental health. Like many people with autism before me, I've experienced bullying for several years due to having autism. However, I used my own trauma as my own source of power to become the self-advocate that I am and to overcome autism and use autism as both an instrument and as a tool to create. As aside from the balance of good and evil, there are long-term effects of being bullied. And so being bullied means that children and teens who are more likely to experience depression, anxiety, and sometimes long-term damage to self-esteem, like I have experienced most of the time. Bullied victims often feel loneliness, and when there's loneliness, there's also depression. The long-term effects of depression can bring on hopelessness, little to no interest in things that people loved doing or what they loved to do when they were pre-depressed, and including having trouble falling asleep or getting too much sleep. This also calls for insomnia. I know for me, like due to the many pressures and experiences being bullied and being depressed, as well as having PTSD, like I'm going to talk about later on, I do have insomnia from all the times I've been up thinking, as well as a lot of like deep existentialism that can come with autism, and not just autism, just living life in general. And this comes to worse as anxiety, and thus being bullied can bring on anxiety, including getting heart disease, depression, difficulty breathing, and digestive issues. And the Mayo Clinic in 2017 indicated that there are other worsening symptoms such as headaches and migraines, as well as sleep issues. So not only does anxiety, depression, and PTSD all mental, but it's also more physical, which is also noted as psychosomatic. And so post-traumatic stress disorder results from a traumatic event that can be experienced both directly and even indirectly. The long-term effects of PTSD can result in the use of or dependence of drugs and or alcohol to cope with intense feelings of depression, anxiety, nightmares, and especially existential hopelessness. Overcoming such trauma is not an easy task. It can be months, years. It can also be lifelong. But as long as you are willing to change for yourself and to change for the people who you love and support, by all means, it is guaranteed that you'll come out of this hell a better, more living, and more passionate person. Many of the recommendations for being on the right path would be seeking therapy, self-regulation, meditation, one of my personal favorites, and medication. Seeking therapy can bring on improved communication and interpersonal skills, greater self-acceptance, and self-esteem. The ability to change self-defeating behaviors and habits, and being able to better express and manage your emotions, including your own anger, which is also known as self-regulation. The benefits of self-regulation is being able to regulate reactions based on negative emotions, such as frustration, anger, resentment, and embarrassment. But being able to calm down when something upsetting happens is also an exceptionally great skill. Thus, exercise can also be beneficially helpful because it not only allows you to get out of your head, but it allows you to go into your body. And when you have the unification of both mind, body, and spirit, this is also known as meditation. And so, speaking of mind, body, soul, or name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, it also comes about meditation. So meditation meditation bridges the connection between your mind, your body, and soul, and or consciousness for those who may not be religious. It is making it a useful tool for bettering your overall health and well-being, and especially when it comes to regulating emotions, chronic pain or psychosomatic pain, depression, and especially anxiety. And the beauty of meditation is that it can be done anywhere, anytime, and can be done via exercise. For example, when I used to live in Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, I used to go outside on my own and walk the really big strip all the way to the Coney Island beach, and even sometimes further beyond Coney Island beach because I just love walking that much. And when I walk, I usually do a lot of like meditation and I think about whatever my mind can conjure up with. And it helps me be in the moment because it helps me experience and appreciate life in a way that is almost like seeing a canvas in a painting. As we all know, God is a brilliant artist, a creator, as well as a beyond advocate for all of humanity, especially for people with autism. And so, another thing that we will talk about to kind of counteract religion a little bit for those who may not believe and those who maybe trust more in formulas would be medication. When considering medication, it is important to remember that medications do not cure mental health conditions, but rather subside any mental illnesses. But if you stop taking them, your symptoms may come back, unfortunately. There is something called weaning, like I used to do that. For example, when I suffer from severe anxiety and depression, I was prescribed Lexapro. Lexapro, I tried for a few times in my life, and that it was not for me personally. But if you would like to try medication or let's say Lexapro, you could definitely try it for yourself if you want to go the prescription route. I know for me that if I wanted to stop taking Lexapro, I can't like go cold turkey, you see. You have to do something called weaning, or let's say taking little by little until you adapt to yourself to not take it no more. But that's if you want to stop taking medication. But there are other alternatives, including natural herbs and teas, that can help people who have suffered from trauma and other mental health disorders. That, for example, I want to take the natural route because I feel like I'll be more closer to nature. It'll help be in the moment. And the best part of all that is there are no potential side effects. And so when it comes to being an advocate, being a former actor, And being someone who's extremely passionate to become the man I am today, this is also not an easy path, but a path worthy of creation and self-realization. One of my passions, of course, is called acting. I joined acting programs like the Epic Players Company and the All Stars Project Incorporated. And while I'm at the All Stars Project Incorporated, I did a monologue with the legendary Tony Danza as his actor's apprentice. And thus, I have started working with Tony, and he helped me bring confidence and help me regulate my own presenting emotions of embarrassment, of fear, as well as existential pain when it comes to having autism. I did a monologue with him called Box's Nightmare and performed it at the All Stars Project Incorporated. And it was really beautiful because it was a completely unexpected blessing to even be associated with Tony Danza. And thus, it helped me bridge the path to my own acting career. And thus, even before acting, I started advocating in public schools in New York City. I spoke at the United Nations and in many colleges around New York City. And as a former Citywide Council of Special Education member, I represented students with disabilities in all 5 boroughs in New York City. I've started publicly speaking as well as advocating for my own community when I was about 14 years of age. I started at 14 because I feel like I found a purpose through public speaking, and I feel like it is only the right thing to do to pay it forward. Thus, focusing on your child's ability, not the disability. When I started college around 2015, I noticed all of the injustices within the Office of People with Disabilities and or Learning Differences. And thus, due to my reputation and self-advocacy skills, I was offered a job at the college called the Design for All Project, in which I helped collaborated and made accommodations and modifications for all students with disabilities and or learning differences, especially those in my own community. I received my associate's degree in Human Services and Mental Health in the year 2020. When it comes to employment and living on my own, I started working when I was about 13 years old, when I was in the summer, I sometimes stutter, so I need everyone to please bear with me. When it comes to employment and living on my own, it definitely can be beneficial. And the earlier you start in working, even in the summer youth program, the more experience you get and the earlier you can start your own resume. I started working when I was about 13 years old, when I was in the summer youth employment program working at Applebee's. From there, every majority of the summer, I would always go to the summer youth employment program to gain more experience and to a little bit learn something new every day and even every summer. I joined a class given by the Young Adult Institute for people with disabilities, and I joined the 4-month program on how to live an independent life. And in 2019, I was asked to work for them and co-facilitate the same class to help others with developmental disabilities who also desire independence as well. Last year, I was affiliated with the Systems of Care Family Services Agency as their credentialed youth peer advocate. I provide services, I mentor, I coach, empower, and most importantly, I advocate for children and all youth, and especially children with developmental disabilities and or learning differences, thus allowing me to pay it forward for future generations after me and my mother. I found a passion for writing poetry, and in the process, my apologies, I found myself writing my own autobiography. And this autobiography is pretty much new of its kind because it combines both fiction and nonfiction. The fictional part is associated with Marvel Comics' character Venom from the Spider-Man series. And the reason why I wanted to base off of the element of Venom is because I view my own autism similarly to the way Eddie Brock kind of views the Venom symbiote, like almost like a host, but not like Alien versus Predator kind of hosting, but rather a mutual understanding of an agreement between oneself and my own sense of thinking, thus allowing me to help and guide others who have my same diagnosis, as well as be a more creative person. And also to realize that this is not the end. This is not a curse. This is not the means to be bullied, and it will not allow you to be ostracized, but rather autism will allow you to be a more of an embraced person because of how creative you are, because of how much you want to build, how much you want to help people. It allows you to be more empathetic and allows you to be more loving towards people. I also love fashion and designing my own headwear. And as some may know, autism allows for increased passions and allows for increased insight. It allows you to be more passionate, be more excited about what you're getting into. Like, people can have many, many, many interests, and people with autism especially, they feel even more ecstatic about their own obsessions and interests. And being that I love fashion, I'm always experimenting with what clothes to wear, what materials to combine. And designing my own hats can definitely bring up the emphasis of an outfit that you're planning to wear for the day or even for an event. That, for example, last year, actually 2 years ago, I was working at a hat millinery company with Jason Murrow, who was my boss at the time. Him and I would always plan to collaborate making hats, what colors to wear, what materials, what different hat bands, and even new concepts in which I was also inspired to create one day. And him and I would always make hats together. And how the hat thing came along was that when I was at the Hilton Hotel, I wore a simplistic little fedora. But I love that fedora because it not only matches well with the suit, but it makes me feel confident. I'm passionate for things that not only do I feel that I can relate to, but also I love things that can also help other people as well. And as I continue to develop as an independent individual, I do find myself becoming more passionate and driven to learn something new.
Okay. These are some of the resources. I mean, I could keep you here for 2 days with all the resources that I have. But these are just a few because I know that we're up against time, but feel free right now just to take a picture of these resources, and one of the first ones is The Color of Autism, and it's called The Color of Autism because it's strictly for Black, Brown, and Indigenous children on the spectrum. And then the second agency is called includenyc.org. They were also known as Resources for Children. They're actually going to have a wonderful webinar this Wednesday if you go on the website on how to read IEPs, the 504s. They're putting everything together in the Brooklyn Library on autism. And then we have Parent to Parent New York State. They're a big, big, big portal where you can get so much information, and they have a support group as well as Include NYC. They have a support group for Spanish speaking parents as well. And as I mentioned, the front door, that was the golden gate for me and for many parents. Spread the word. If your child has a developmental disability or Down syndrome or just go under the website and you'll see the criteria. I couldn't have done it without them. Autism Speaks is also a known, there's so many different agencies out there, but Autism Speaks, I think they're pretty unique because you can actually go in there and test yourself to see if you also on the spectrum, which is okay. I learned that we're all touched in some way, some form. And then YAD was a very, very, very pivotal part of Mark's life, you know, when he was like 5 years old. He got services from them. They have a program for independent, you know, the independent living skills that he did. They have dentists at this clinic. They have psychotherapy. They have psychiatrists, and they've come a long way. They were the first ones to pick up the individuals when Geraldo Rivera went into Rockland, the psychiatric center, and he blew their cover on the way people were living in the horrendous conditions, and YAI took all those individuals out of the institution, and they found them places and resources and apartments, and that's how that you know wound up being something good. And I'm just gonna open the floor. And this is my family. That's Mark's sister and my husband. And I just want to open the floor to see if anyone has any questions.
I don't have a question. My name is Sheba Simpson Amsterdam. I am a parent of a child with a disability, but I am also an educator of special education for over 25 years. And I just want to say bravo, bravo, bravo. This presentation was an inspiration. Mark Anthony, you are amazing. And I am so proud to have been able to listen to both of you tonight. So this fills me with so much gratitude. It grounds me in the work that I do and continue to do and advocating for children when people want me to sit at the table and shut up. And I refuse to do that. So again, I want to just say thank you, and I'm so proud of both of you.
Thank you, Sheba. Keep up the good work. It takes a lot.
It does.
You know, but you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I know you sleep like a baby, knowing that you made a difference in a family's life and a child, you know, that you're working with. So I commend you and I thank you.
It is truly God's work. God
Amen.
bless.
Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Mendez and Mark, thank you so much for this awesome, awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
full, very.
Thank you.
So much information there for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
It is our pleasure. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for listening, as well as thank you for relating, as well as you relate to organ donating. And
Yes.
the one thing that's beautiful about both our companies is that we are not only empathetic towards the people we want to help, but also we are giving. We're both incredibly giving, and we need to share as many resources as we can.
Thank you, that's so true. And the lady who did the organ donating, she's the one who told me about you guys. She heard your presentation before, and she thought it was awesome. It was so impactful. She said, I think I have their number. Went and she sent it to me. So Miss Mendez, if you have not met Miss Stacy Collins, she's right there.
Oh yeah, I remember her now.
You
I
remember?
remember her. Absolutely, yes. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yes.
I never forgot you and your son. So, you know,
Yeah, thank you.
you are amazing. This
Thank
is
you.
my second time hearing you, and I'm just truly touched. So continue doing the awesome work that you're doing.
We will, man. Much love.
Okay.
Peace, love, and
Yes.
I love your hat.
Yes.
He's a
Your
very
hat.
I mean, like I'll only bring out the hats when it comes to in person. But I really do appreciate it's funny because like I have like over 14 hats in my apartment. Like that's how much I love it. And it's funny too because like sometimes I like to even modify the hats that I buy and basically make my own color combinations, making my own feathers. Like I truly extravagantize the hat in of itself to make it my own taste and even sometimes make it better. It's funny too because like sometimes like my parents and even my own sister think that my style can be a little bit too much, and I gotta admit, sometimes it's too much, but
That's
most
good.
of the time, like people love it, and it's like
I do.
if people love it, I'm gonna continue doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm loving it, but you're awesome. That
You
presentation
you are
blew
awesome.
me
You have
away.
a great sense of life. Your aura is amazing. Like
No,
definitely,
you.
you remind me to
Yes.
appreciate life. We
Thanks.
both appreciate life.
Miss
Yes, we do.
Dickinson,
We
yeah,
do.
Miss Dickinson
But
has her hand up for
Oh
the
no,
longest.
it's okay, Miss Mendez and Mark Anthony. I have to tell you as well as Sheba, I am a retired special education teacher
Wow.
and crisis intervention teacher. So I mean, I put a message for you in the chat, but you know, you are I can't even begin. I mean, I can't even begin
mm-mm,
to
I'm
say what
blown
this
away.
means.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
I'm blown
it
away.
is quite a
Yeah.
blessing from both sides, from living what you were speaking of about what happens, you know, and what is. So
Right.
thank you so much, and I'm so happy you didn't give up and you didn't sit down
I'm
and
glad to.
you know you showed up and showed out, and I'm loving it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And
God
and
bless
it's
you.
I
Yes.
I thank you and my job's not done and Mark is gonna continue to grow and you know
Yes.
and the hardest part is just letting go. You know, and I'll be the first to admit it, but I see him now. He just got his apartment for Valentine's Day, you know, Ash Wednesday. I said, God is good. God is amazing,
Got it.
right?
Yes.
And I used to basically I used to live in Brooklyn, like all the way down south in Coney Island, and it wasn't bad. I've adapted to my environment, and I didn't think that I would actually get my own place like even sooner than before. And God is great in that.
Yes.
It was definitely really cold down there, but it is definitely much more warmer now that I'm near the environment I grew up in, as well as being around the people I love.
Yeah. And then basically, you know, we're all here and we all have a gift and it's all about just you know sharing it.
Yes.
What good what good am I if I can't help? I didn't ask for autism and now I see wow, you know, they're beautiful souls, you know, and misunderstood and you know, I mean he's my son and I'm just blessed. He's respectful, you know, he prays, he put me on the right path. I can't ask for more, you know, just pay it forward. I have some of the parents I talked about within the support group, and it was wild to see that the ones that wanted you to do the work, the kids are still home not doing much, you know, and I'm like, wow, and the ones that put in the work, the kids were successful. And that's my message. Nothing's gonna come, it's not easy, but you know what? I did my job and now he's living his life, right?
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
And also, thank you for teaching us about organ donation and the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have questions? Feel free to ask any questions. Serious. Don't be shy.
You're truly a gem. You are a gem, Mark. Mark Anthony, you're a gem.
No, thank you so much, Mr. Torres.
That's Joan. George Torres. That's
Yes.
To say,
No, I
say
know.
this is Joe.
No, I mean, we appreciate you both.
So Mark, do you take medication on a regular basis?
I do take it on a regular basis, but not the orthodox way where you sit down in a dark room and you think that meditation actually comes
No,
from.
she said not meditation. Do you take medication? Right? That's what you asked?
Yeah,
Do you take medication?
medication.
No longer.
No longer?
No.
Oh, great.
He took it for 6 months.
I got this.
You got it.
So anyways, as explained before, I was I had really severe anxiety and depression, and there were times where I was having a lot of like suicidal thoughts and ideation. And it was a really dark time in my life. And because I was having like really severe anxiety and depression, and I would even be like, I would even sometimes like emotionally outburst around like people. And because of that, my mom made me take Lexapro. I did it because not only do I love her, but I love my family. And
Love yourself.
no, thank you. That I took it for them. It was controversial to me. And unfortunately, like from my experience with medication, and it can be a completely positive experience for you. It didn't react well with my own biological chemistry. And being that it didn't react well with my biological chemistry, I decided to kind of lean off of Lexapro and decided to adapt to my own trauma, as well as regulate my own emotions, and to keep on praying, keep on going to church every weekend like I do, and keep on being around nature and camping.
Okay, thank you very much for you.
That really, it is about what you decide will be best for you.
Okay.
That to each their own, in other words.
And you meditate all the time.
I actually do in a way meditate all the time. That I would sometimes listen to music while I'm doing something else. I would sometimes go outside, take my really long walks like I do, because that's a form of meditation. Another meditation that I love to do is that when I go on the bus or the subway, or even in the car, I would listen to music. And as I look out the window, I always have like I always have a lot of like internal visuals that I would imagine that would coerce with the lyrics in the song. And this actually helps with creativity and inspiration because you're being received a lot of ideas. We get ideas from everywhere, not just about like music and through dreams. That whatever we feel inspired by, we want to create for ourselves and to share your creative message of art. And this is not just for people with autism, but anyone. If you tap into your creative self, if you tap into your truest, highest self, your best self, truly you will become a better person when you tap into such power.
Mhm. And I just feel that I'm in it to win it, but just looking at my son and he didn't speak, and being bullied. I didn't even know that he was bullied all those years since he was like in the second grade all the way, to middle school, and when I would sit next to him and I says, you okay? He's like, no, I'm not okay. And so he kept a secret all those years, and I'm like, but why didn't you tell me? And he's like, because I love you, I didn't want to hurt you. So what I want to share here is if you have a grandson or a son and he's always, let's say he likes to wear red all the time, all of a sudden he has on green, that's a red flag. Just look for the signs and open communication. That's key,
Communication is key.
Yeah, but we're living in these times right now. It's so scary. I know he's talking about that he likes to listen to music. We can't even do that on the trains. We have to be so careful. You have to watch everything. We're living in very sad times, and through it all, I didn't ask for this, but I said, this is what's happening in my life, and why should I stay quiet? And we went through so much, and including, it's wonderful to see, providers here, teachers, coming from special education, and back then there were teachers to teach, and then you had those that were empathetic and really wanted to help the kids, like they saw something in that child. and
They saw a hidden potential that very few empathetic people can see.
right, he had teachers that bullied him also. Mark suffers from post-traumatic stress from the aftermath of the bullying, including one or two teachers. It's a disgrace, you know, and we gotta just, you know, go out there and help and bring the light, you know, that these individuals, that they're wonderful, good souls, you know, they're innocent, you know, and they're bright. They're bright. They're just wired differently, and that's why, you know, if you want to see that movie, it'll wake you up to what autism is, and you know, they have now Love on the Spectrum, you know, and they're adults in that program, you know, looking for love, 35, 40-year-old, 50 years old. It's a beautiful program on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, what is really good is that autism is becoming more understandable towards the masses, which is a beautiful thing to definitely live on. And especially slowly but surely, we are starting to have a more mutual collaboration between neurotypicals and neurodiverse. Neurotypical people meaning that people who don't have any diagnosis like autism or any other learning differences that they think typically. In other words, neurodiverse people are people with not only with autism spectrum, but people with Down syndrome, people with ADHD, people with various other learning differences, and even mental health disorders sometimes.
And when you think about it, there's over 22 disabilities that we can't even see, you know, 22 or maybe more now, because that was back then, you know, but they're out there, and we have to, you know, we have to be sensitive, you know, and really try to understand. And the more we understand, like anything else, right? Suya, you have a question? Your hand is up.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say something really quickly, and it was that my first class every year, the first thing I would teach my students and also the teachers is that to look up the word special. It in no way means anything wrong. There is nothing bad about the word special.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that one from you.
Okay, you got it. I'd rather give it to anybody. I'd love to have for you to have it. But yes, to look it up.
Yep. If I may, if I actually may add to that method, believe it or not, I think the reason why they put the word special is because it's supposedly a different, more effective kind of education that sounds more oppressive rather than educating. So they kind of disguise it as the word special, so that way they could have effective education. But in reality, it was definitely more oppressive and more ostracizing and isolating from literally other neurotypical students, when I think we need programs like the District 75 Inclusion Program, which actually bridges the gap between neurotypicals and neurodiversity. And this program in turn helped me and gave me exposure to how neurotypicals think, how they hang out, how to socialize. It gave me a nice space where I can also be lifelong friends with other neurodiverse people whom I'm still great friends with today.
He just had his housewarming party last weekend. I'm like, you just moved. What are you doing? I got it. No, you ain't got it. But he did it.
No, but it's because I wanted this for so long, and I wanted to, like, in a sense, like, give them something to fight for, to give them hope that they too can have their own apartments and that they too can really live their lives creatively. But life is not just about learning and growing, but it's also about creating. that we need to start creating. We need to be more creative, not be more warmongering. In other words, make creation, not war.
Peace, peace. Right?
Thank you.
We have another presenter, Miss Albright from the New York Public Library. And
Hi, everyone.
it's also Library Awareness Week. So she's here to, I think, read us a poem.
Yes.
Ms. Albright.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shantae Albright. I'm the library manager for the Wakefield Library. And, today, April 1st, started off of Poetry Month. So I have a brief poem that I wanted to share with everyone. And I think while I'm reading this poem, everyone kind of could relate to it. So the poem I want to read is called Empowerment, and this is by Sharon Luna. Empowerment means living beyond feelings, beyond circumstance, beyond what the world says you must be. Empowerment means reaching deep inside your spirit, beyond the surface, beyond the heartaches, regret, and retreat. It is what you take you beyond the places of yesterday and towards the place of tomorrow. It is what it comes from true love, deep within the heart. From places of true gratitude and true strength, given as gift from above. Empowerment. That is what empowerment is for ourselves and for others. Paying it forward, for to give is to live, and that is true empowerment. The reason why I choose this poem, because there is a lot going on in this world, and I think empowering each other is very important, and helping each other and supporting each other through these difficult times. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Well said.
And that's why she was in my stakeholders corner. Blessings.
Thank you.
Very nice.
No, thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that massive amount of work that you put into the poem.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm looking it up, and being a family peer advocate, you guys, whoever's interested in the credential, Families Together in New York State. If you have someone, a child, or you could be a foster mom, but that's what it's all about, empowering the parent. So when you said that word, I was like, yes. So I just Googled it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Bring that back to work.
Also, I want to share one more thing briefly. The solar eclipse is April 8th.
Yeah.
So the libraries are giving out free glasses. So I think all the libraries are giving it out, but I know from my location, when you come to get your glasses, you do have to fill out a waiver. And then once you fill it out, it's real quick. And then you could get the glasses.
Thank you. It's
So
good to know.
take
We have to learn that.
advantage.
No, it's important. Yeah, you got to take care of your eyes too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Any more questions, or do you have any more poems that you'd like to share?
Thank you all for spending the time with us and for the beautiful presentation that each one has given.
Mm-hmm.
We thank each one of you. We enjoyed it very much, and we have learned, at least I have learned a lot. I think the same for Miss
Oh,
Sadie.
yes, we have. No, I'm smarter. Okay.
See, the head is bigger.
See my head?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think each and every one of us learn something from each other, and that's beautiful.
Yes,
And that's what these Zooms should be about. You
yes,
know, educating and empowering, you
yes.
know, each other, right? When we close the screen,
Share,
take something away from it.
Caring, sharing and caring. That's
The way.
and we are empowered.
Absolutely. Perfect poem. Perfect poem.
Miss Claude is from our stakeholders corner as well. We always look forward to these meetings for all the little gems that she throws at us.
The
that we
golden
can collect.
nuggets, right?
Yes, yes.
That's great. Thank you for having us.
you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank everyone on here. Right? That's it. Hope. Keep hope alive, right?
Yeah.
I never got those pamphlets or what.
Yes,
never-
I actually pulled them today, so I'm definitely going to put them in the mail for you tomorrow morning.
Edgar. Okay, look forward to receiving them.
Okay,
Mhm.
definitely.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
So
us.
since we have no questions or concerns, call for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Oh, Maisha has a raised hand.
Just wanted to say thank
Right.
you all, and Clinton had to leave early, but this was a great presentation from everyone, and just love to be in community and empowered with you all. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Thank you.
So much.
Yeah.
And remember, if you know of any families that you know that they're trying to figure this all out, the acting, the program All Stars Project is free. It's on 42nd Street, 9th Avenue, but you also have, you know, it's a very organized. It's free, and the precinct is right across the street, because you say 42nd Street, we're all like this, but you know they organize, the building's decent, and I think once he got into acting, that's it. His whole
Absolutely.
personality changed. So share that as well. Share
Okay,
that
will
as well.
do. And I
I'll
may
also-
reach out to you all. I go to Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, and our youth committee, our children's church is having something on autism awareness month. So I will once I get it, I will share it with you all, and you're welcome
Okay.
to come.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
I would also recommend another great program called The Stars of Tomorrow, which is like a successor to the All Stars Project. The Stars of Tomorrow is also run by Tony Danza, as well as like those who were a part of the All Stars Project Incorporated.
Mrs. Mendez, the organization that you just mentioned, can you repeat that?
Yes, it's called the ALL Stars Project. The All Stars Project, and I can give you their number. Give me a second. Yeah, they you know, it's wonderful. And I think they start at, what is it, 9 years old, 10 years old?
Sure.
Hmm?
Sure.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, so I have a number here, 212-941-9400. Then I have another number, 212-356-8423. And then the 212-356-8452.
That's a third number?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
4, 5.
And look it up. Just go Google it, the All Stars Project, and you'll see what they're doing. They have the program that he did with Tony Danza, which is the actor. We didn't know what was going on, and I put him for a 6-week program, and he kept saying, "Yeah, Tony's helping me with this, Tony," and we're like, "Tony, okay." And then when we went and we went to the actual play to see him. And we were like, that's Tony Danza from, who's the boss? I said, sweetheart, you don't know who you've been dealing with the whole time. So it was a nice surprise.
No, I mean, it was a strange generational gap, but I'm glad that I was revealed the history of Mr. Danza.
And he's back. He was gone for a while, but he's working behind the scenes. We just saw him about 2 months ago, and now the new program that you just said.
Yeah, the Stars of Tomorrow.
The Stars of Tomorrow. You'll probably see it on the website, but they're doing great things, and it's all about us. Of course, it's going to be a sacrifice Saturdays. We want to just shop and go grocery shopping, but it's a great sacrifice. And then they do things in the summer. They have like 6-week classes for the summer. So I think these guys would enjoy that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Yeah.
And I just put it in the chat for you, for everybody else.
Wonderful. There you go.
Many
Thank
thanks.
you.
You're welcome.
Motions and I made them. Can't do it. I can't do it.
Okay, so we're gonna take a motion to adjourn. Okay. Okay, do I have a second? Someone can just second. And we're adjourned. We
I
have
second it. I second it.
Okay, thank you. So good night, everyone. Have a pleasant.
Night, everyone. Nice meeting everyone, and thanks for your stories.
Oh, you're welcome, and keep up the good work, everyone.
Thank
on
you.
the Zoom.
Thank you.
Right.
Wonderful.
Good night, everyone.
Bye bye.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Stacey.
Take care.
Good
God
night,
bless
be
everyone.
safe.
Bye.
Safe home.
Yes,
You're home. We have to travel home.
that's a
Get
good
home
one.
safe, Joan, and safe. Hi, Diana and Mark.
Oh, thank you. The best to you always, okay? Keep up
Thank
the
you.
good work.
Thank you. We'll be in contact, though.
Okay, all right, my
Yeah.
love. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Joan.
Good night.
The computer